Okay, welcome everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear? Yes. Okay, thank you for all making it through the rain. Like I was saying, this is supposed to be a beer kind of an evening, but it has turned out to be tea and coffee. So it will be served on your chairs. Don't worry about that. Just a quick little thing. Media and entertainment as a special interest group for TIE has always been very close and dear to us. We've always done this for the last 12, 15 years. During the pandemic, this special interest group took a dip. They were all really worried as to what's going to happen to them. But post the pandemic, I think there's a new revival of entrepreneurs wanting to do fantastic things in this space. And this is our first physical event for this space, the media and entertainment folks. Thank you for all making it here. I promise you that 1 year from now, we will be having a very big gala event for entrepreneurs, meeting with investors and the experts, academicians, and of course the industry folks. I don't know how many of you are from the old media and entertainment special interest group. If you can please raise your hand. Okay, perfect. You knew we were pretty much in bed with most of the production homes and actors and actresses. TIE was known for that. But however, we are now slightly moving more to the new age media and entertainment. You'll hear more about that. To start off today's conversations, we're going to be very candid, as always in TIE. So Chatham House rules apply, meaning whatever things are taken out here will not go out of that room, out of the door, frankly. The other request is please put your phone on silent. And I will leave it now to our moderator and the lead of Media and Entertainment Special Interest Group, Ravikant Sabnavis. Most of you don't need an introduction, but he was the man with the UB Group, Kingfisher, Force One for a long time. And then he became the CEO of Star Parivar, and he turned them around. So he's been a man from the industry. He does active investments in startups today. He is an angel investor. However, if you need to pitch to him, you'll have to come through me. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you. Just a small correction before I start. That was Star Pravaha and not Parivar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce Amole Gupte and Ninad Garpe to you all. I know what some of you might be thinking, that these two gentlemen don't need any introduction. We all know who they are. That's what I thought so too before I reached out to them. But guess what? I realized I knew very little about them. So without further ado, to my right is Ninad Garpe, theatre man. He's produced 3 outstanding plays, 2 of which I've been very fortunate to watch. He's also written a book, From Bond to Baba, a book on business strategies. I've got my copy here, and at some point in time, I'll grab my fanboy moment where I get him to sign this, hopefully. And guess what? That lovely pocket square that Ninad is wearing is something that, is his IPR, his brand, and he designs them. Right? And during the day, Ninad, I believe, likes to live life on the edge. If you recall that Aerosmith song, Living on the Edge. So I understand that he, cuts checks for promising startups, working as a partner with 100x VC. So that's Ninad Garpe for you.
Thank you.
To my left is a talented painter, poet, child rights activist, Amole Gupte. Extremely passionate about the upliftment of kids. As you know, Amol also writes and is a filmmaker. As a matter of fact, his socially relevant films actually reflect his effort to not only motivate but also educate, not kids, but adults, and change their attitudes or influence their attitudes regarding kids. So that's Amole Gupte. Welcome to you both. So I'm going to start with a few questions,
sure.
Right? And at some point in time we'll switch over to you all. Amol, the first one is for you. I was actually watching an older interview of yours with the Vishwarang Film Festival 2021, I think with Sudeep Soni. And actually, two of the things that you said about kids stayed in my mind, right? One is, you spoke about the respect you have for kids, so much so, and I quote, "Maine unko apna guru maan liya," is what you had said, right, about kids.
Black coffee.
And the second was a question where you said you think kids don't have problems. Just because they don't have voting rights doesn't mean they don't have problems, right? Tell us what inspires you and motivates you for the well-being of kids.
With that single purpose, I lead my life. And that is to give children their valuation. You can value stocks, you can value brands, you can value. But because there is no, as I said, no voting rights, they are not on the, on the list of anybody, be it political parties or, because you need an interest group which is actually a ballot box in order to address their requirements. The under 18 group is highly disenfranchised, and which is why I stand with them. Having said that, it's a calling. So it's like, no doctor told me that you got to live, you got to do things for children. I don't like the use of the word kid. It's a 3-alphabet word versus 5-alphabet child. I prefer the 5-alphabet word to address them. So respect begins with that, and then of course it runs the full mile. Having said that, I think that's what my calling is to stand, and their requirements have to be tabled, and one day there'll be a sunrise is the hope I live with. Yeah.
Thank you. Nina, I'm told once upon a time, you also had a boring job like some of us here, and then, you sort of pivoted to a high-risk profession at a VC, right?
Should I interrupt you? First thing, I'd like to take a mandate. Are you all doing boring jobs in your lives? I can be a little louder. Oh, really? I feel very scared of my booming voice. So
Is there a reverb when Amol is...
Yeah. There's a feedback. Yeah. No, which is why I'm trying to dodge that feedback, But having said that, what Sir is saying, I need to pay attention to and bring your attention to it. Okay? I think people by far love to do what they do, There's nothing boring in life. Otherwise, it would be rubbishing a whole lot of the population. Yeah. क्या करते हो यार? तुम लोग boring काम कर रहे हो life में? No, it's not like that.
I was being self-deprecating.
No, I know. Sorry.
So I hope you can hear me. I'll speak up a little louder. First of all, I'm really happy and privileged to be with Amol here. I love actors. It's a tough job, believe me, after producing 3 plays, and we have crossed 400 shows across 3 plays. So it's a lot of plays. Thank you. And of course, when my kids saw the creative, he used the word legends. He said, "Dad, are you retiring?" I said, "No, legend is Amol. I'm just part of the discussion." Thank you, Narayan, for getting Amol. Really nice. So yes, I think, any job is interesting or boring is not the right word, because if it's boring, you'll not do it. Fundamentally, that's how it works. I've been privileged, of doing different kind of work. And around 4 years back, I somehow felt this urge of supporting theatre, specifically Marathi theatre. I, studied it, and I said, what I have great fascination, and mean with humility, respect, whatever word, not to kind of flatter you. I really love people who create something out of nothing. So when Amol is sitting and doing an idea, he's creating a story that comes on screen or theater, whichever form. He's creating something out of nothing. I think I just felt the need that I should be part of this journey. The fascination is from the story reading which happens, which the writer shows us, to finally when it comes on stage, it's such a pleasure to see it happening. So that fascination of, I thought this is the only thing where I could be associated of creating something out of nothing. Otherwise, there's nothing. When, I don't know what you have to say, but that's my true fascination for people like you. And I thought I wanted to be part of the journey. Since I could not be an original author, I wanted, the business side really fascinated me.
By the way, I'm also from CA factory, Narsi Monji Mahavidyalaya. Way back, of course, 78 I passed out, or 83 I passed out. But Narayan was with me in Narsi Monji. But I understand what you're saying. It's the road that you take. So instead of going to Kishnath Wala's class, I went to Mahendra Joshi's rehearsal room. That's the only difference. Otherwise, my brother is a chartered accountant, 5 years younger than me. And naturally, we were meant to come out as financial whiz people. But it's like an addiction, Once that room number 1 and room number 8, which was our rehearsal room from where we whittled out Sheffer and Ionesco and Tendulkar in college, in undergraduation. So it was quite a renaissance time in experimental theatre, in one-act plays. There's Unmesh Prayogik Natya Manch or INT or, IPTA or some such. And I was quite celebrated as an actor, as a college boy. So I had to walk that path, so then I walked that path. But having said that, either here or there, I wouldn't have worked a single day of my life, which I don't to date. I'm 60, and I have long ago taken the oath, I will never work in my life. So it helps me, I guess.
And Nina, did it help? Theatre, especially Marathi theatre, there is an element of risk in it, right? Especially on the commercial side. So, did your being a part of a VC setup, already taking risks, do you think that sort of helped you when you jumped into Marathi theatre?
So it did, as a VC, that's my day job, and this is my serious second profession, which is production of theatre. As a VC in a firm, we see close to 30,000 pitch decks every year. We fund 100, and out of the 100, only one is successful. So Narayan is there, Charmi is there, all chartered accountants. They can do the math. It is more difficult than an IIT entrance exam. So 1 out of 25,000 is going to succeed. So that is high risk. I mean, when I tell this to my wife and mother, they say, why are you doing this? You're wasting time looking at 24,999, and only one is going to succeed. But that's the thrill. I'll tell you one short story, thrill of engaging with young people. I don't know, Amol, if you have similar experiences. So this was a 17 or 18-year-old school kid school child from Delhi. He pitched an idea, and I'm fairly polite, generally speaking, and Narayan knows that. So I told him that we will not fund, I don't think we are able to fund this. So he said, why? I gave him some reasons. So he tells me, Nina, you're talking bullshit. Now, which industry allows a person to listen to a 17-year-old telling you are talking bullshit? This is the fascination of the industry, that you get direct feedback from 17-year-olds straight up front. They are not scared of telling Amol or Ninad or Ravi, you're talking bullshit. Narayan will be scared of telling you you're talking bullshit, but they are not. So that's the beauty of this industry.
Right.
Did you fund it?
No, we didn't fund it.
It has to be pre-approved.
And Amol, you too have, I was listening in the same interview, you too have been giving opportunities to children to work along with you, right?
Yeah, that's anyway what I do, because I offer myself in the form of a workshop. I'm a painter, writer, filmmaker. So whatever faculties that have kind of gone to the next level, I take those faculties to children, and mostly to children with who are non-privileged, so financially challenged children in municipal schools. And I build in the value system of cinema as an art form versus Bollywood, of course, which I abhor. So cinema, which is a practiced art form all around the world, and which does not have any listing of your Bollywood directors or actors, it's a different community. So in that community, when you start building renaissance with the have-nots, I've seen children from a municipal school, we start our workshop with khichdi or dal chawal, because empty stomach you can't, digest cinema. So after having finished a small frugal meal, then on a Mela white sheet with a cayenne projector, I have been over the years projecting the masters like Pathir Panchali or Megita Katara. I mean Indian films I'm talking about, Do Bigha Zameen. And when I see these children who perhaps have had the first meal in the 2 days that they must have lived without a meal, so the first meal is the khichdi, and then the way they are transfixed to this dirty screen, which is not a PVR screen, which is not a high-end entertainment zone fix, it's really humbling to see them be a part of an art form which transcends mere Bollywood and sending films to the Oscars, which means nothing at all actually, unless you get an Oscar, which also is overhyped, I think. Then what is the big deal about that? So practice your art form, take it to the children, take it to the non-privileged, take it to just not financially disabled, but physically, mentally disabled, whose job is to share, not to judge. Some fine person, Medha Lotlikar, who's an educationist, she mentored me during Taare Zameen Par, and one line which she said is stuck in my head, is that teachers have to teach relentlessly. They need not judge. The judge judges in the courthouse. The teacher teaches in the classroom. So don't judge whether this child is absorbing or not absorbing. So because she was sharing academics with the most challenged group of children I have seen in 2 special schools. One is Saraswati Mandir and one is Tulips, both shut now. They were part of Taare Zameen Par. The children were also part of that film. They were seen there in that film. Having said that, I think that's fulfilling for me. How you take the art form to the age group which you imagine has diminished intellect. But that's a very adult idea of children. We most of the time we are wrong, and which is why I said a 17-year-old can surprise you by saying this is bullshit. So it's that surprise that I'm looking for all my life. Every day I get it from children, So it's quite fulfilling to share knowledge and take a share of their knowledge, which makes me very, very selfish. For myself, I crave for that knowledge from children, which is why I say children are my gurus.
Sure.
That children are my gurus is not just an empty sound, because I'm observing, and the child is the father of the man. So, well, that says it.
That's interesting. Before I come back to Marathi theatre, I am very keen to ask you about your painting. You've been painting for a long time. You've had exhibitions as well, one hears. So when did you start painting? When did this journey start? What inspired you to paint? And again, I'm asking in the context that most people here would probably know you as a writer, as a filmmaker. So this is a very different aspect of yours, which I thought we should chat about today.
Unfortunately, on the street they know me as Singham Baba for whatever 2 penny worth it is. But That's a sad part of my life, my story. That however much you extend yourself in terms of value and worth, you're finally going to be known for the lowest common denominator exercise that you participated in. So that's a shame, actually. And this would not happen in Europe or in Japan or in Korea. But unfortunately here, you're recognized for, "Arey, wo Singham Baba, ek selfie ho jaye," you know. That's it's really upsetting. But having said that, I would still feel that whatever it is that you put your foot forward for. So what is painting? Painting is an experience, right? I mean, so if I had Nikum sir in my school, in Ansaraj Morarji Public School, and later he became the school principal. Imagine an art teacher being a school principal. Unusual. So imagine the philosophy of that school. Imagine that Nikum sir, along with Parulekar sir, they established Bandra School of Art. He was assisting Parulekar sir on that. Thrice decorated with state teachers awards. So he was a beacon of wisdom for us as we were growing. Not only him, the English master Thomas J. Parmar, and Hindi master who was a poet himself, Namvar Singh. So this Trimurti really kind of whittled the shape, at least mine. I wouldn't say the same thing about other children in my class, but I benefited greatly. And I painted throughout my 8th and 9th and 10th standard. And by the time I finished 10th and I went to Nikum sir, I had a very good percentage. So I said, "Sir, now I'll go to JJ, Fine Arts." He said, "No, don't. 3 years, what did I teach you? Ata kaitri nawak shika." You know, he said. So that's why I came to Narsi Monji Mahavidyalaya. So as a painter, roots are very deep. You know, my mother is a Sunday painter, and theatre and art is part of our growing up. You know, so Sahitya Sangha or Rabindranatya, Shivaji Mandir were every Saturday we were for a play there with our chutney sandwiches packed. You know, Garuna Janetsu, everything. Bring your food from home. You know. No eating 3 batata vadas at Bhaidas. I still don't have the answer. Why 3 batata vadas in one plate? Plate of batata vada in Bhaidas for the Gujarati theatre weekends. Nice. So like that.
How interesting.
So painting, to kya? It's like it runs in my family.
And you still paint?
My eyes are bad, so I can't do the fine work that I used to do. But yeah, if I have to send a card to you, I'd rather make an illustration and send it than write. I could write also.
And the images that you sent me on WhatsApp, they were some of your paintings, right?
They are my early paintings, 80s, 90s, some of those, yeah.
Right. Now, coming back to Marathi theatre, and I think this question would perhaps be relevant to a lot of entrepreneurs, because when you started your journey in Marathi theatre, I would imagine that the entire landscape was new for you, right? So despite not being familiar, since you're coming from something else, you were in the industry, how did you navigate through creating plays?
So my philosophy is partnership. You know, even in the VC, I have partners. I don't think, today my belief is the days of Superman are over. You have to partner with someone for anything, for business. You have life partners, of course, for your life. But for business, you have to. So I got a partner, a very old friend, Madhuri Gavande. She is into a lot of Marathi literature. She, is a person who could, analyze this story, all of that stuff. So she came as a partner to help me in that. I totally looked after the business. And some of the things, first play we did, A Perfect Murder, Touchwood, it's still going on. So please do come when you see it listed in a theatre next to your house. So we have done 260 shows there, and Touchwood, it's still going on.
And that was the first Marathi play at the Royal Opera House, right? Wasn't it?
Correct. In last 60 years, there hasn't been any Marathi play, and we did 3 shows there. Wow. And luckily, all 3 were houseful. because the rent is so high, Marathi theatre can't afford operas. So, but it's a lovely theatre, the pleasure the actors got in performing in a beautiful theatre. So it was partnership with this Madhuri Gupta. She looked after more from the creative side, the story reading. Then the first play I did, I partnered with Book My Show. Book My Show put money in first time in a Marathi play. They haven't done after that because, it went through a rough patch, not the play, but because of COVID. So I leveraged my corporate kind of connections. So I wanted to make it more organized, the theatre business. There are a lot of, things which I felt I could bring my organization skills there. And touch wood, it has worked well. So it was unknown territory. But I think if you have a good partner and open mind, hopefully, magic happens.
Yeah, I think clearly partnerships is one of the things that one should look at. And staying with, Marathi itself and broadening to the vernacular, what in your view, Ninad, can be done to take the vernacular languages more mainstream, theatre or cinema?
So it's happening, it's such a pleasure when I go to the shows. I don't go to all shows, some of them. You see 3 generations coming for theatre. I'm sure you've seen, grandfather, father, and the young kid. 31st December and the other, they celebrate by going for a theatre. It's not celebrated by going for a bar. So there is still a loyal audience of people who come to theatre and they want deep content. Marathi theatre, one of the things is, they don't like slapstick as much as other theatres. So Marathi and Bengali are the 2 vernacular languages where they like deep content. There is, extramarital affair, there is unwanted pregnancy, all kinds of things. There is, relationship strains, all new topics, and 3 generations, 85-year-old, 40, 50, and even 10, 12 years. So there is a loyal. How do you expand it? In terms of films, it is certainly expanded because of, subtitling and dubbing and all of that. Theatre, we still haven't seen it. We are going to try, and I can make a 60-second commercial pitch. So 275th show of Perfect Murder we are planning at Nehru Center on 15th of March. We are experimenting. Purist will not like it. I don't know if he's a purist, but Vijay Kenkre, who's my director, is more a purist. We are planning to keep on the side, a screen with subtitles, so people who can little bit understand Marathi somewhat, but not 100% sure, they can also enjoy. So we are trying to do these kind of things to expand the audience. So when we had an opera, was 40% audience was non-Maharashtrian. So they want good content, even if they understand roughly what's going on.
Sure. Amol, do you have a view on how vernacular can become more mainstream? I think Telugu and Tamil movies, are slowly becoming mainstream. But if you were to take Marathi mainstream, do you have any thoughts on that?
My problem is with the word mainstream, actually. So, sorry. So, but I know that I come from a community which sent in 1935 a film to Venice. It won the Golden Lion in 1935, made by a sound recordist and an art director. Sound recordist being Vishnupan Damle and an art director Syed Fathelal at Prabhat studio in Pune, and that's Sant Tukaram. It happens to be one of the finest treatises of cinema ever produced in India. Having said that, we have a pantheon of filmmakers, Raja Paranspe. You have the greats, the Hall of Greats, and who have very, very systematically put the Marathi cover in the library. So the man who actually caused this revolution in the 80s is Vijay Tendulkar, of course. And he single-handedly wrote, "Arey Baba, ek minute zara gappa baza na. Round then." So, having said that, if there is such value in what people are doing here, then it is evident that Avinash Arun is going to make Killa and Chaitanya Tamane is going to make The Disciple, which is produced by no less than Quaron.
Yeah.
So imagine the leap in Indian cinema. It's always been in leaps. It has never disappointed me as a student of cinema for life. So I'm good with it. The way it is progressing on what are the returns and what are the gains from this, because at the end of the day in 1957 when Pyasa was released, there must have been not less than 10 commercially successful films in that year. I'm just saying 10, there would be 40. And they might have made, pardon my French, shitloads of money. And they would have bought houses in Malabar Hill then. Pali Hill would have been a later development. And now their grandchildren and great-grandchildren would have sold those places. And there'll be no film in the library and there'll be no money in the pocket. Why are you in it for? Are you in it for money? Well, that's going to diminish. So build the library. That might help you die peacefully, I would say.
Amol, I'm going to switch tracks and want to talk about your poetry. That again is arguably a lesser known facet to our audience here. When did you start writing poetry? What inspired you to
I'm not some published poet, so it's very, it's khujli, it's kida. So, you can't say, "Arey, ye kaun hai ye? Kya naam hai iska? Kahan iske sangrah kude hai?" There is no sangrah. So, then I would be putting the cart before the horse. Having said that, as a child, I have managed to, whet my vocabulary and see if I can produce something pure in poem form. So in English I used to write, I have written in Hindi. And in Hindi, of course, one of my poems which I put into Taare Zameen Par are my words. Chhu lu main itna kareeb, chal padun to kitna dur, sapnon ka bunad, sweater sa warm, safed badlon ke paar mera jahan. So that is the song, freedom song in Taare Zameen Par, written by me. ऐसा होता है, थोड़ा खेलते हैं हम लोग, little bit, play around. Meaning, oft repeated question, what do you like best? Writing, directing, acting, painting. So what I like best is cooking. So
tell us more.
So my son knows his father's kitchen. So when we went to see Ratatouille, it's a film which has this great chef eating the ratatouille and thinking about his mother making it for him. So he said, what's this big deal? Yeah? My son is Partho. Yes. He was Stanley in Stanley Ka Dabba and Hawaa Hawaii. He was my main actor. He's a filmmaker in his right now. So you say, what is this big thing? What is this mother's food and all? So, if you can make a good cup of tea in the morning, chances are you can make a good film. I guess that answers your question.
And to borrow your phrase, the kida.
Kida.
Do you have enough of a kida to, let's say, recite part of any other poem besides the one you just recited to us?
I was like a supremely depressing person when I was in college or end of school. And I wrote the Kali Yuga Yatra, which said, on lepers' wounds, flies do breed. On the naked child who pays no heed. As misery and agony shoulder the soil, them mysteries of poverty slowly uncoil as the Kali Yuga Yatra passes on. Something like that, Wow. So the end of school. I think I have not gotten rid of that dark bug biting in my heart.
Nina, from Born to Baba, this is, I was reading this book last weekend, and this is very interesting because what Nina does is taking analogies from everything from Bond is James Bond, and any guesses on Baba? Sahi jawab. Yes, absolutely. So he's taken examples from how, over the years, the character of James Bond has been reinvented because circumstances changed from the Cold War to, it wasn't relevant anymore, to the enemy being unseen, right? And something as diverse as Formula One Right. So I just thought we should talk a little bit about, what inspired you to, write this book and.
So again, Kida, was what I'll say. So I took 7 years to write roughly 200 pages. And my younger son, Neil, told me, Dad, that's a very poor record. To write 200 pages in 7 years. So, but you know what, Amol, I saw Skyfall. I know a lot, like many people, I see serious films, but I love Bond. It's a universal. And when I saw Skyfall on day one, I came out and those days used to book, tickets. I wanted to go again next day. My wife said, I'm not coming with you. But I went again. I was so fascinated. If you recollect, Skyfall was a time when the whole Bond character was reinvented in multiple ways. And, I don't want to get into detail. And then actually, Narayan may have attended one of them. I had a series of talks on all gratis reinvention using James Bond as the character. I did nearly 100 talks at my MBA institutes and saying how you have to reinvent your business using James Bond character. I showed how Ian Fleming, created Bond, Dr. No, and then how in Skyfall, and then that culminated in an article, and that eventually, F1, I love F1 a lot. So all these things are something I've followed. It all took 7 years. I kept writing, and the final chapter was on Baba Ramdev. We couldn't come up with a title. The publisher said, what do you want title? I said, business strategist sounds so lame. So he said, what's the first character? Bond. What's the last? Baba. Chalo Bond to Baba kar dete. So it was a 1 minute job. And the pleasure was to be named in Amazon list. And once in India, if you sell 10,000, it becomes a bestseller. Unlike West, where I think it's 100,000, 1 million. So it's gratifying to share knowledge. So it started with the bug of how James Bond, being a very successful franchise, is the most successful film franchise in the history of cinema. When it's going well, why do you want to reinvent? And that's how they responded. I took business lessons from that. It was crazy to have a talk on reinvention using James Bond, but I think it went off well. That's the inspiration of it.
And connected with that is, what would your advice be to a young company, a startup, which is trying to, there could be two kinds of companies and people here. One is which is still trying to invent itself, and those that may need to reinvent themselves.
Well,
and those who don't know how to reinvent themselves.
He's got the secret sauce.
So I'll tell you an anecdote. When I was heading Aptech, Aptech has a brand called Arena, which is very, very powerful. They teach multimedia animation. And we had centers in Vietnam, so I had expanded a lot outside India. So I went to Vietnam, Ravi, and there's an Arena center around 50 or 80 miles outside of Ho Chi Minh City. So it's like tier 3. And there I found a young kid. This is a true story. I can show you pictures. Young kid in a black t-shirt, working on a laptop, creating characters. The worst thing you can do to a creative man when he's creating characters, and he'll support me in this, is to disturb him by saying, "Arey, the global CEO of the company has come." He doesn't care. But the local guys kept saying, "Arey, Mr. Global CEO is here. Talk to him." So I tapped him, and he was not interested in talking to me. But, as things happen, we have to have a photo op. So after this, we'll have a photo op as well. And I tapped him on his black t-shirt. So I asked him his name. He wasn't responding. I asked him, what you're doing. He's not responding. I'll make a short story. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. On his black t-shirt were the words, Jesus. That's it. Jesus, Jesus. So I asked him finally, why have you written the word Jesus? I said, let me now needle him. That got him going. He said, Mr. Garpe, you know what I am? What I'm doing? I said, I don't know. I'm going to be now remember this child, sorry, I'm again using the word kid. This child is 80 kilometers outside of Ho Chi Minh City, which is a virtually tier 3 town, studying animation. He said, I want to be the world's best animator.
Wow.
I wanted to, probe him a little more, because now he had kind of started chatting, and it was rare for him to chat. I said, really? He said, Mr. Garpe, I require only 2 things. a pipe. Pipe is basically internet connectivity. He called it pipe. And a mind without borders. So this, again, 18, 20, 19-year-old kid in Vietnam, 60 miles outside of Ho Chi Minh City, taught me the way to succeed is a mind without borders. I wanted to create a pocket square. I deeply love pocket square. I said, just do it. I have nothing. I own only the IP. Everything is outsourced. So mind without borders is what that young kid, and he didn't tell me you're talking bullshit, fortunately. He just told me, Mr. Garpe, mind without borders is required. And with a pipe, I can be the world's best. His ambition, Amol was, and Ravi was not Vietnam's best, the world's best. I don't know where he is now, but with that ambition, this is what a startup founder requires. Absolutely. And I can go on and on, but that young kid again taught me a lesson. So young child, again, why am I using the word kid? The young child taught me a lesson.
It takes time to reorient.
Yes.
But these children teach you all these lessons.
Absolutely.
Always.
Amol, what would your advice be to people who may want to be starting off something in media and entertainment? Do you think that there are some gaps that currently exist? Am I audible?
Little louder.
Some gaps exist.
Of course, there are lots of. Actually, what is happening is we give mantras, no?
Yes.
Fukat mein.
You're talking bullshit,
One mantra. There is no mantra actually, no? Because if you're talking about, say, OTT, cinema, television, theatre, so all these performing arts, including classical dance, folk, it is based on passion and nothing else. So if you have a special interest, and if you don't have a special interest, it's time you developed a special interest, I think it's not so difficult to, just browse the net and look for yourself what you want. It's not so difficult, I feel. And now, because it's so accessible, I come from a time which is 1981, 82, where in order to see a very good masterpiece of a film, you'll have to join Alliance Francaise. So one French film a week, Max Miller Bhavan, one German film a week, film unit, one in classic a week. It could be Tarkovsky, it could be Russian cinema, House of Soviet Culture. So altogether you will see, say, 5 films a week, and you travel the route, From Andheri you're going to House of Soviet Culture, Max Miller Bhavan. But I found a place which gave me the facility of sitting in the temple forever. And that was the Film and Television Institute of India, Pune. And I didn't go there as a student. I went there as a talent. I was a celebrated theatre actor as a 20-year-old. And I participated in a diploma film, which won the National Award that year as the best experimental film. It's on YouTube. It's quite fun to watch. It's called Chakkar Chanduka Chameliwala. Chakkar Chanduka Chameliwala. Time pass. Ghar baithe baithe, of course. So once I went to that film institute and that wisdom tree and the music room and the main theatre and the canteen for chai, this became like a Bermuda Triangle for me. I couldn't escape it. I was sucked in. So for 12 years I was there and watching 4 to 5 masterpieces a day and repeats. So without any stress, one day I have to pass out and make a film, I just stayed on as a talent. So I've given music for some films, I've acted in 110 films, I've done all kinds of dubbing for some 1,000, 2,000 films. वो actor आया नहीं है, चल मैं करता हूँ, 30 rupees a day. Pink voucher, That's good enough for me. It buys me my santra, which is desi daru, and my khana. सब मिल जाता है. Your spirits are high, and your cinema is intact. Having said that, that's the only lead I can give you. That if you seek it, you will get it. And then you don't go for the returns and all, for God's sake. Of course, later Amir Khan said it in 3 Idiots, success jakmar ke and all that. But having said that, if you're following your thing, that's good enough, no? A day well spent is a day well spent. So try and find a day which is well spent, one day at a time, then maybe one life at a time, So, हो जाएगा. मेरा तो हुआ है भाई.
That's very interesting. Amol, how do you manage to pivot between the various interests that you have? Poetry, painting, writing, cooking as well, as I just learned, including being a father and husband.
No, I swing. Swinging is good. You get bored of writing, you can paint. You get bored of painting, you can write a poem. You can jump, right? Because, I don't know, I'm not such a focused person. I might look very academic and all, but I'm not. So I live by the day, I explore the day, and see what is the surprise of the day for me. That's good enough for me. It's taken me 60 years to be content. And yes, the byproduct, which is currency, money, has always come in without fighting for it or, being a hard nut. You have good lawyers who look after you. You have good financial people who take care of that side. You got to concentrate कि ये तुम्हारा हलवा ठीक बन जाए. So halwa making is very important.
That's very important indeed, yes.
Then you can put चांदी का चढ़ा दो ऊपर से वरक. Yeah.
So, in fact, you may have preempted a later question, but I'll come back to that on the currency that you spoke about. But I'm going to ask you the same question, Nina. Again, you're pivoting across. One is, of course, theatre that we spoke about, but within the world of 100x, we see, there's a lot of energy that you're spending with different kinds of startups whom you're evaluating. So, how do you manage those energies and keep your focus? Because those people come to you with a lot of hope.
True. So it's a very different business, funding startups and theatre. Absolutely very different. There is, one is really a passion business, and one is, obviously business, fund management. The beauty of being in a startup business is you get to meet so many young people all the time. It's not if there's a problem, it's not looked at as a problem. It's looked at as a problem waiting for a solution. So you mentioned earlier in media and entertainment, what are the potential startups? In every sector, these people look at problems as how to solve them, not complaining about, oh my God, this is a problem. We have to live with this problem. They are always thinking, how is this problem going to be solved with technology, with something new? And you're listening to all these new solutions every day. It's so interesting. I'm so upbeat about India becoming the startup capital because children, now I'm using the right word, I'm not using kids, from even tier 3, tier 4 are just coming all the time wanting to solve problems. They are okay to have this journey of what I call journey of wealth. Typically children, when they passed out or graduated, they always immediately looked at journey of income. Get a great job, get married, get, the typical path. These people are willing to wait. They are willing to chase their dreams, their passion. They're willing to wait and pursue a journey of wealth, living frugally. You tell them today, I think we should try this thing. I worked in large corporates. It would take months, maybe days. Tomorrow morning you come and say, okay, I've prepared the code. This problem is solved. This is the speed with which. So it's very exciting, this industry. And if you're not associated, there are two things you should associate yourself with. Local theatre you have to support by going there. I always tell people a weekend without watching a theatre is like a weekend without sunshine. And I believe in it. My first port of call is always which play is going on, where. And then, of course, not that I don't love cinema, I do love it. But you have to get associated with startup in some shape or form. Don't have to necessarily invest. Mentor a startup, look at what is happening. It will keep you young. It will keep you young like the boy in Vietnam, 18-year-old boy who wants to conquer the world.
Indeed. And one last question before I open it up to the folks here is profitability. Right now, finally it has to lead to, people would like it to lead to profitability because that's what they've got into business for. So what do you think, for a startup to ensure profitability over a period of time? Any mantras that you both would like to share?
This is a topic which Naveen puts me for a long discussion, half-day discussion, but I'm going to give a Twitter version of, there are lectures and lectures about it. So profitability, our mantra is the first interesting part for startup founders. Today, capital is chasing ideas. He spoke about 1980s and 90s where ideas were chasing capital all the time. Today, capital is chasing ideas. So if you have a great idea, it will happen. Capital will chase you. And there will be 4-5 people chasing you at the same time. So it's a very different world from what it was earlier. And number 2 is, the mantra is really scale or fail. You have to scale fast. And that's how you will succeed. And how to get profitable, the mantra, again, I'm now giving 3 mantras, which is not good. But since you asked for mantras, is inch wide and a mile deep. Focus on something which are very good and make it so deep. So I am focused only, let's say, on Marathi theatre. I get offers for English, Gujarati, Hindi, because now I know how theatre works. Nothing doing. I just want to keep focusing on that all the time. Similarly, I can give examples of so many of my products. Just as an example, not to promote startup which we have funded, Kerala Banana Chips, we funded. It's there on Amazon. They came to us, the turnover was just 1.5 lakhs, 2 lakhs. We told them, do only 4 products, that's it. Don't go to distribution, do online. Today they're touching 3 crores within a matter of 18, 20 months. People love to see their products all over the place. I call it the Chachaji syndrome. Your Chacha is happy when you see your film on the hoarding, when you see your product in the supermarket, when you see an ad about yourself. We are not in the Chachaji business. You have to make money inch wide, mile deep. I'll stop there. I'll keep going on and on.
Inch wide deep is the answer.
Absolutely.
No, I would second that, because that's what I practice.
Yeah.
Inch wide, mile deep. Still waters run deep. So you have to, value yourself for that, and don't price yourself. The day you price yourself, that's your day of doom. Value, never let it drop. Because at the end of the day, I have understood, and it's very deep, of course. I also come from a background of finance, and so it would be quite impertinent of me to raise this. But at the end of the day, it is 2 chapatis. And the day you can digest a gold biscuit, I'll jump from my building. You can't. So then what are you setting off for? Is a larger question to answer in anybody's life. So I'm saying finance is an art form, because finance is no less an art form.
True.
I have a younger brother who's a chartered accountant, and he lays it for me. So instead of him going to room number 8, he went to the correct room of Kishnadwala and, and he did what he had to do. So, but he also understands that there's an art form there. Crunching numbers is also an art form. But if you do it for the pure pleasure of crunching numbers, then every day will be a new day. So the tedium won't set.
Sure.
Same thing with me. I don't think tedium sets in ever, because the minute I know that tedium is setting, I jump. I go to the next, because that way I can dodge boredom.
Sure.
So that way I have a mind of a child, which is why I'm very comfortable with children. I'm not so focused, and of course I know all these naming and shaming game of ADD and ADHD and dyslexia, and it's all rubbish. This is all adult judgment of children. Those square pegs and round holes. It's like that. That's a sad thing.
Over to our audience. I'm going to open this up.
I have a question actually to...
Do we have a... Sorry, just hold on a minute. Do we have a mic here which we can pass? Yes, it's coming. Let me just hold on a minute, please.
Thanks, sir. Hello. Yeah. Hi.
Naveen Chandra. I run a film fund to make films in regional languages in India. The question I have is for all three in a way. Media, I have spent about 30 years in media. Media is only about audiences, right? So just like Ninad said, that he's defined his audience, and that's his audience. And you focus on the audience. You have an audience that you've defined, and that's, I think, pretty much your subject and the audience, pretty much, or maybe audience is bigger than your subject. So the question here is that in today's day and age, where content has become short form and shorter form and shorter form, right? So you had the traditional long form content where you see a movie for 2.5 hours. Now you got TikTok videos, and you got videos which run for seconds, and on parallelly you also have White Hat Junior, which is actually teaching computer programming to 5-year-old kids, right? So this audience, what does this audience want now? What do they want? Dramatically, they're different from what they could ever be in the past. So aren't there a lot of mental illness, mental pressures that kids at 5 years old have to learn programming, have to look at content which is 5 seconds and 7 seconds, and therefore to your audiences, which are absolute contrast, to be able to sit through a play, peacefully and watching live actors perform without graphics and special effects without popcorn, right? In a theater which is not really Dolby surround sound and all that, is the other extreme. So therefore, I really love the efforts that you're doing, whether it's the Opera House or the subtitling, or wonderful efforts. But like again you said, is there scalability in that? So for your audiences, will you get scale when you do all of that? Is there real scalability by doing all of that, or is it tough? And for you, is this audience, how difficult is it to now cater to this audience, which is now at 5 years learning computer programming? What do you do to this audience?
Should I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So my worry is that for any subject, whatever the subject, you need to have a backbone of history. Whatever. So if I'm going to painting, so I'm going to the times of Impressionists, Renaissance, before that, church paintings and the masters, before that. So there's a history of art, there's a history of theatre, whether it's English theatre or whether it is Marathi theatre, going right up to Anna Saheb Kirloskar, going right up to, Balagandharva, and my father was fortunate enough to watch Balagandharva alive and singing once more and once more. So I come from that tradition. So I know that there is a backdrop of an art form, and whatever happens in today's day and age, I should be right now taking it as an anomaly. Because if I start catering there, then I'm just making TikTok videos. My son just graduated from the School of Cinematic Arts, University of Southern California. He's saying, Dad, I'm getting jobs which are so frugally paid with Sorkin, with big directors of Hollywood. But if I'm told to just create content for a TikTok video, just do edit jobs and all, they're paying me in thousands of dollars. But he's choosing not to, bite that apple. The idea is that how much do you, which is why I said, roti ka chakkar hai, do roti khane ka chakkar hai. Finally, are you pursuing an art form? Is TikTok an art form? I would severely, not debate, I would refuse it. Yeah. A place in art. Because that's so self-celebratory and it's diminishing in its...
In a way, does it help make more artists?
What is an artist who is not an artist? It's just a length of people lining up and getting likes and followers and this and that and the other. But neither they have developed a skill within an art form. So it's like, if I were to say, who's Andrei Tarkovsky? Kaun? Andrei Tarkovsky? Kaun? Case rests. Abhi iske aage, what will I tell that person? And in order to come to the 15th grade of your education, you have to pass 14 grades in order to, at the 15th grade, you can't say, "Arey, filmmaking wo kya hota hai yaar?" तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. There are many 12th standard failures who are moving around as successful people in Bollywood. But would I be caring for their view or their understanding? No, I wouldn't. I would not be perturbed or anguished by their success, because that is also a different measure. उसमें अपना अखाड़ा ही नहीं है, तो why unnecessarily get, तड़फड़ क्यों? Let them be. It's okay, but you follow what you want, and you do it for yourself. You're not doing it for an audience. I have met 30 years, so even I've been in the cinema. I was sitting with Nasir Hussain, and as a learning boy, because Mansoor was my friend. But having said that, I knew that they had set their milestones very high. They were doing things which was like music to the ear. If Majru Saab just throws a kafiya, so then uska value kuch aur hai bhai. Varna wordsmiths, there are a dime a dozen. It's not about that. Are you a poet or are you not a poet is the thing. So I would really not be, telling a lot of people that, listen man, just caveat. Returns, very important. Who are your audiences? Very important. Chances are that if you're true to yourself, you'll find an audience. There might be like-minded people who might get stirred, and then unnecessarily people might not come into that space to pick out your phone and talk while the film is on and other short stories. It's better not to be with those people, I feel. That's why I don't go to the theatres. कोई phone उठाता है तो मेरा दिमाग खराब हो जाता है. I can't. I said, why have you come here, Baba? You've come here to answer your phone, but what about the other people? So in this, I, me, myself is what is the dictation of TikTok and dictation of, short videos. It's attention deficit. I don't know. I don't assign to that.
So I'll make it brief. I think entertainment business will become eventually like cricket business. Everything will coexist. There's a T20. Cricket is the only sport in the world where these different formats coexist. All of them are viewers. There's a test match 5 day, there's a 1 day 50 overs, and there's a T20. When T20 started, everyone said test match is going to be history. It is still not history. 26th December, every year I wake up to watch the Boxing Day cricket match. So it will all coexist. So there will be an audience for theatre who comes for 3 hours. You can't eat popcorn in the theatre. It's very different. You're engaging directly live. See, live audience theatre is very different from a screen. So there'll be audience for each of this. So entertainment will become like cricket eventually. Everything will coexist.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Nikesh. This question is more to Ninad. So how do you, it's very difficult because in content industry, you never know what will work. So it's all judgment. Ki kya chalega, you never know. So how do you evaluate when a project comes to you, especially in that where probably scale is not the success factor, more on a profitability or what will work. So how do you decide whether it has a success ingredient or not?
You want my secret sauce?
If you can share.
It's very tough. So we have done 3 plays. The first play, Touchwood, is still going on. Second play didn't do so well. Although it had done massive number of shows in Gujarati, we translated to Marathi, it didn't do well. And third play, we just launched, it's got good reviews. I think the audience, it depends on the audience. Marathi audience requires deep content. They are okay with very serious issues, mental health issues. You put any such thing also, people come to watch the play. So you have to try and judge that, is it a story just frivolously told? Is it just pure entertainment? There's a deeper meaning in it. So Marathi audience wants that slight, depth in so it's a very deep content kind of audience. I'm sure same thing happens in movies, most of the Marathi movies. So it depends on the audience, but you can never judge. You can never judge. Our first play, Perfect Murder, we released on Friday. In theatre, first 8-10 shows, the actors say, "Arey Baba, jasta audience aanu naka." Means don't get too many. We are just, kind of everything is getting well oiled in theatre. So 4, 5. First show itself, almost it became houseful. They said, "Ninad, what are you doing? Don't put so much publicity." But just the concept of it being a Hitchcock play, being redone, adapted in Marathi. People loved it. So it's very
brilliantly
tough.
done.
Yeah, you've seen it. So it's very tough. I think, there is no one, whether it's, films or theater, no one can be ever 100% sure that this is going to become a hit.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
So yeah, there was just one question. After you left Aptech,
all the tech, the entire tech background, you had an option to choose many businesses that you could do for yourself. I mean, other than the 100x VC. Why theater?
So one of the reasons...
And did you make a business plan? Did you just like you started Aptech, did you make a business plan?
I did the VC thing first and theater. Sorry, I did theater first, then VC. Just to quickly tell you, one of the things I had decided was, once you are a CEO, I was CEO in 2 companies, you always get offers from competing companies when you want to be. I had decided not to join a competing company because I said it's not ethically correct. You're carrying the secrets of one, a company and then go to a competing company and then, so that means you never get offers, right? Offers. Because you're always labeled as, first I was labeled tech guy, then education guy. So theater was, it just came as a passion. As a young kid, I used to go to Marathi, Sahitya Sangeet, and, my father loved theater. And, I always say theater or drama is an expression of yourself. You learn yourself when you learn more about yourself when you watch drama. I don't know if you agree with that. And that was the learning. So I decided theater just as a passion business. I knew this is not going to make serious money, but I did not want to lose money. So I put together, marketing plans, tying up with Book My Show, all that thing. So it was more a passion business. I never knew this could pay for the fees of my kid, for my child studying abroad. But it was just a passion. And deeply loving. All of you must support any local art form, whether it's theater or any other art form. Weekend you have to go. That's the only mantra I can. And if you come to watch my play, nothing better than that. Narayan is going to ask a tough question. Huh? You can ask only Amol. Amol was a junior in college.
Yeah, it's for Amol only.
Good.
In chartered accountants, especially when you qualify, you can't have any relation like because your father is a CA, you will pass a CA, become, institute's president son doesn't pass CA, But we have seen in others, whether it's politics, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's industry, father, son, second generation, especially in your industry, how do you see this and how do a normal person, good acting skills, good skills can enter in the profession of yours?
No, there are easy break-ins. Frankly, everything is a break-in. Just being your mother's son or father's daughter is not going to solve your problem. There are so many castaways. I don't want to name them also. All some sons of very famous people who have been thrown after the first film. Yeah. Unfortunately, actually in corporate, the son will succeed the father. As chairperson. Just now we got all announcements. Correct? She's a classmate. Neeta is my classmate from NM. So having said that, what I meant was that वो पेड़ी तो चलती रहती है दोस्त. वो अभी डेंटिस्ट है, उसने इतना डेंटिस्ट का चेयर खरीदा, फिर बच्चा पैदा किया, फिर गवर्नमेंट डेंटल में भेजा, फिर वो क्या करेगा? बोला आ जा भाई चलो मुंह खोलो. इट्स लाइक दैट. अगर वो नहीं करेगा तो फिर क्या करेगा? So it's not about that. In fact, there is sustainability and success in nepotism, but not in Bollywood. Bollywood doesn't support nepotism. तुमको चांस मिलेगा खाली. अभी आलिया भट्ट है तो आलिया भट्ट है. अभी उसमें कुछ है पाओ केक. महेश भट्ट को देखते हुए बड़ी हुई. सोनी राजदान इज शाम बेनेगल्स एक्ट्रेस एंड थिएटर किया हुआ है. Influences are different. Going by my own son, who I cast in 2 of my films, Stanley Dabba and Hawaa Hawaii, but he was not available for a 3rd film. Horlicks came in, Cadbury's came in, he got the National Award, Filmfare screen for Stanley, he got all the awards. But he said, no, I don't want to act. Because we were doing it 4 hours on Saturday as a workshop. No child was losing a day of school. So many children have participated in our films. Not a single child has lost a single day of school. We are following good practices, best practices. So that is not available in Bollywood. So bola, mere ko nahi janega, I don't want to go there. I'd like to be a filmmaker. Then the writer-director of Jurassic World, Colin Trevoro, he handpicked him. David Weitzner, who greenlit E.T., who's sitting emeritus at School of Cinematic Arts, they handpicked him. He's a scholarship student. He's earned it as a filmmaker because he made a film when he was 13, which traveled around the world. He made another film when he was 15 and a half. These became his long essay. So what happens is, it depends without mentoring how you mentor your child. Baki nepotism to wo to style bhai hai. That has got nothing to do with inner value of the art form. It's got to do with stardom and its highly consumed space. So you'll have these sons and daughters who are on an everyday basis on your Bombay Times covers and here and there. But that has got nothing to do with the art form. So nepotism is what? Nepotism is if you can bring the art form to your child. Like how an English professor will bring literature to his child or her child. That's your job to be done. Then वो घोड़े को जलेबी खिला सकते हो, लेकिन पानी पिला सकते हो क्या? वो लेके जाओ, वो देखो घोड़ा पानी पीता है नहीं पीता. That's basis the child, what the child wants from life. So you can't, make one full management program for your child के ऐसा 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 ये सुर नहीं. Chances are that it will badly fail and it will come back to hit your face. ऐसा.
Thank you. Yes, there.
Hi, good evening. First off, thank you so much for your time today and putting this together. My name is Karan Dharamsi and my question is for both of you. So I did my engineering and after that I wanted to be a filmmaker. Actually, we met at a filmmaking school and we got married. But I then chose to become an entrepreneur because I could never wrap my head around the idea of selling my art. Or I take it too personally. I feel like if I had to sell my films to somebody or if I had to sell my story to somebody, I would have to somewhere commercialize it or make it more popularistic to appeal to a larger audiences. So that's been a challenge for me for a really long time. I haven't been able to detach myself from the outcome of how people are going to react. So I put it up free on YouTube, or I would write something and put it up for free on my blog. So how have you ever faced that or dealt with that?
No, I have not faced it because I was, extending my feet according to the size of my chadar. So I knew that after Taare Zameen Par, nobody will fund me because for obvious reasons, and there'll be strategies. So I beat the strategy by making a guerrilla film where my first edit, offline edit, after 1.5 years of continuous workshopping in a school where I studied as a child, it was 39,000 rupees to the first offline cut, including if you have seen Stanley ka Dabba, there is a concert which looks very opulent, but then I mentored the concert in my son's school and wrote it and I produced it so that the children brought their clothes and school paid for St. Andrew's Auditorium. So it was hands-free for me. But I could manage to pull it inside my narrative without feeling the stress of I'm going to sell out. If that is your question. So I don't think I've had that fear of selling out in terms of putting it out there. Having said that, YouTube is a very fine medium to put it out there. So I'm nobody's judge whether you're monetizing it or not monetizing it. It's free to view, free to comment on. It's a new world. It's a very good world. So if you can sustain your 2 chapatis a day, or 4 chapatis a day, then good enough. You make your films for free and don't feel like you're selling out. I understand your angst. So which is good. Good for you.
No, I have nothing to add. I think technology is now available for people like you to follow your passion and not commercialize. And YouTube is just an amazing form. There are so many YouTubers who are not putting commercial content and they're still making money. They're making money because there are people watching serious stuff. So, you're living in the best time of the world, the age, era where you can actually do serious content yet make money.
There's a gentleman there who had a question. Yeah.
Hello. My question is for Ravikant sir. So you have done a lot of interesting stuff in past and you have a very good experience in different things. But now you have a oral care startup. So my question is why oral care, or how did you end up in this domain, which is very different from what you have been doing?
A good question. So I think the first part of the answer lies in something which Ninad said a little while back, which is that if you keep, I wanted to be in the world of startups. I had spent 5.5 years, with a large business. I was with Star Prava, but I felt that, I would learn much more if I engaged with startups. And this particular organization happened to be India's largest dental clinic chain. Right, but they wanted to extend the brand Clove into oral care products as a separate company, right? And that's a natural extension because people go to a dentist once in 1.5 years. Some people don't go at all in India, right? But everybody uses a toothpaste, right, or a mouthwash, or other oral care products. So and when the founder spoke to me, he says, look, this is what I want to do. I want to engage with consumers 364 days of the year, so that 365th day they will, if they're in pain, they'll come to a Clove Dental Clinic. And we want to do this meaningfully. Would you come, head it up and start it up? Right? So that's what I think, the thrill and excitement of doing something that I don't know what tomorrow is going to be. Is what drew me to it. And that's what I think both these gentlemen were also talking about. So it's been 2 years now, and it's been really exciting, building it up.
Hi, my name is Kshitij. I'm co-founder of Clapper. We are a Bollywood fan engagement platform for the Bollywood fans in India. My question is related to sponsorship. If we compare cricket versus Bollywood, even if an organizer is hosting Mumbai T20 League or Dubai T20 League, they easily get sponsor to sponsor such events. But whereas when it comes to the Bollywood, we rarely see any brand who is doing integrated marketing or any kind of direct sponsorship within the film. And because of which, even if anyone coming up with a startup, or if someone say they have great content for which they are looking for a sponsorship, it is becoming very challenging. So why the film producers or maybe directors are not integrating the brands and commercializing the films to the next level?
You're right. There are hundreds of discussions that happen once a film is being planned. And if you have a partner, a distributor partner, whoever it might be, for me, my partners have been Fox, with later Disney and all, for perpetuity. Now, what I see in this game is that does it ring true in my timeline, my film timeline? Or is it going to be, मैं तो boost पीता हूँ? What was that? That Krish 2 or
Yes,
Krish 3?
I was thinking of the same exactly. I think it was Bonvita.
Bonvita पीता हूँ. तो मतलब इतना in the eye है, या सुभाष घई साहब की लास्ट 1-2 फिल्में हैं. मतलब वो एक सिर्फ ऐड के बाद ऐड है, तो फिर वो फिल्म कब चालू हो जाएगी? तो किस लिए आप पैर आगे डाल रहे हो? एड फिल्म मेकिंग के लिए डाल रहे हो, और इतना क्या आपको मिल रहा है? बिकॉज वो तो बड़ा घनघोर बिजनेसमैन है जो अपना प्रोडक्ट बोल रहा है, तुम्हारे मुंह से बुलवा रहा है, वो तुमको छोड़ेगा थोड़ी, वो बोलेगा निचोड़ो और चाहिए मेरे को, आई वांट दिस मेनी सेकंड्स प्रेजेंस, आई वांट. तो दैट बिकम्स अ पेन फॉर द लिसनर लाइक मी, यू नो, कि बोला अभी कितना मैं इसको दूर रख सकता हूँ. बोला यार छोड़ो, निकाल दो उसको, गेट दैट प्रोडक्ट आउट, बिकॉज ये बहुत ज़्यादा चिल्ला रहा है. What he is benefiting from, he doesn't understand or realize कि how delicately I'm wanting to weave his product in. वो बोलता है in the face चाहिए, मेरे को ऐसा चाहिए. बोलो फिर एड फिल्म बनवा भाई, गिव अक्षय कुमार को पैसा दे, एड फिल्म बनवा और चला ऑन ऑल द चैनल्स, फ़ायदा होगा तेरा. तो इधर वो फिल्म बना रहे हैं या एड बना रहे हैं, वो थोड़ा मुश्किल है मेरे भाई. इट्स वेरी इंसल्टिंग एक्चुअली, यू नो. जब वो ऐसे वल्चर की तरफ पहुंच जाते हैं, तुम्हारे गले पे बैठ जाते हैं, तो तुमको समझ में नहीं आता, ऐसा ही हो जाता है. इट बिकम्स अनबेरेबल कि ये कैसे अभी मैं इसको बोलूँ यार, कि क्या करूँ अभी इस बुढ़ापे में, मैं क्या बोलूँ अभी इसको यार. हाँ, मेरे डैड पूरा पिक्चर बनाया, वो अपना हीरो ही है. साकिब सलीम, he was there in हवा हवाई in my film. Before that he had made मेरे डैड की मारुति. वो पूरा लॉन्च है.
But to give you another perspective, this is from a content maker's perspective, where you'll just dilute the product and so on. But if you look at it from your perspective, right? And I think way back in 2005, a proposal had come to me when I was with Heinz, for a brand called Glucon-D. Now, please remember, this is like investing in a startup. You don't know whether that movie will fail or succeed. The reason why you want your brand integrated in that, right? The hero drinking your Bonvita or whatever, is because you believe it will reach out to several crore people, right? And rather than putting an ad, that's why you're doing it. And I remember this proposal had come, everything was right, all the boxes were ticked, the star cast, the producer, and the story also looked interesting. I don't recall what the storyline was, but everything. But for some reason it didn't happen. I think the production got delayed and they were probably not coming down on the price. I think it was a combination of these two, that the movie getting delayed and the price was not right. But I was, gung-ho, I had convinced my boss and so on and so forth. Now, several months later, the movie did release and it sank without a trace. Right? And I was thanking myself that, I would have had egg on my face. So remember, if you're looking at it even from the other side, from the content maker's side, it's about diluting your story.
No, I'm not even saying diluting. I'm saying pay homage to the movie.
Yes, absolutely.
And integrate yourself seamlessly. There's a way to do it.
There's a way to do it. And
he almost has tears in his eyes. He becomes emotional.
Yes.
It's unthinkable. Why?
Unthinkable.
Bond shedding tears. But anyway, we can discuss Bond later on.
Absolutely. Sure.
Are we done? Yes. Thank you very much, Amol and Inaz. Thank you very much. I think this has been a delightful session indeed, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, folks, this is a very interesting session. This is just the beginning of our, media and entertainment special interest group. We wanted to start off with a bang. If you all have ideas and you want to bring and have a lot more talk and discussions, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to put such evenings together. And please do stay back now for a little bit of networking. There are some pizzas and the beer is, of course, being served now. No more tea, coffee post 6 p.m. There's a rule that says that once the sun is set, you can't have tea, coffee. In the media and entertainment industry, that's pretty well known. So, folks, please hang around. I think my team would have given you a coupon kind of a thing. That's just the logistics of getting the beer. And please, again, our office is just about 10 minutes away from here. Feel free to drop in whenever you can. And we would love to do more. We also have financiers over here who would love to finance your movies. So catch hold of him.
And
thank you all.
Naveen,